Welcome to Night Whisper Tales.
What if the touch that could heal you was also the one forbidden to your kind? Imagine a vampire lord, ancient and fading, whose very existence hinges on a mortal healer's touch. But this isn't just about survival. It's about confronting centuries of darkness for a love that could either redeem him or destroy them both. She stepped forward into the cavernous room, the cold air thick with the scent of age and forgotten battles. His skin, pale and almost translucent, stretched tightly over the sharp planes of his face, evidence of time's slow but steady erosion. Yet even in weakness, his eyes held the unyielding weight of centuries. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with the fragile hope that she might hold a power strong enough to save him. As her fingers brushed his chest, a faint pulse of warmth spread through his gaunt form. It was like reaching out to a dying flame, desperately trying to coax life where it had all but been snuffed out. Episode 1: The Forbidden Touch. The loss that had shaped her was a constant whisper at the back of her mind. Someone beloved, taken too soon, a wound no medicine or magic had been able to heal. That loss hardened her resolve and gave meaning to her gift. Healing was no longer just a skill. It was the tether that bound her to hope itself. She remembered the countless nights spent alone, studying herbs and silences alike, searching for answers buried deep in nature's unspoken songs. This path, fraught with danger, was the only way she could make sense of the broken pieces of her past. He watched her in silence, eyes flickering with a storm of emotions, fear, disbelief, and an ancient loneliness that had lasted far too long. The notion that a mortal, fragile and ephemeral, could pierce his eternal solitude was a thought both terrifying and startlingly beautiful. Episode 2: A Life's Weight. Under a sky dotted with cold stars, they met in the garden outside his fortress. Words were unnecessary. A single glance spoke volumes. A breath shared in the stillness spoke louder than any promise. The world between them was vast, centuries of night versus brief pulses of mortal life. Yet, in that fragile space, something flickered. A defiant blaze of light that refused to be snapped away. Her fingers lingered near his hand, trembling with the weight of the forbidden. His gaze held hers, revealing cracks in the armor of his solitude, shards of the man he once was buried beneath layers of darkness. Episode 3: Glimmers and the Dark. Night brought with it the roar of hunger, a raw, primal force threading through his veins. The thirst bled into every thought, every shadow, reminding him of his cursed legacy. Yet beneath that monstrous pull, a quieter voice stirred, a hope that shimmered when her touch healed, when her voice calmed. He fought to silence the beast, desperate to hold on to the shards of humanity she coaxed from the ruin of his soul. But the question haunted him like a ghost. Was this fragile new path nothing more than an illusion born from desperation? Episode 4: Echoes of Blood. One evening, she uncovered relics and memories buried deep within the fortress, tales written in blood and sorrow, power won and lost, friendships betrayed, lives shattered. Each fragment revealed more of the man beneath the myth. Wounded, vulnerable, capable of regret. She realized how impossible their worlds were woven, yet how dangerously close fate had drawn them. The more she learned, the deeper her empathy grew, mingling with a growing fear that their love might be the greatest risk of all. Episode 5, Forbidden Secrets. Darkness clawed relentlessly at him, an old companion that whispered fierce temptations in the dead of night. The beast inside roared, thirsting not just for blood, but for the raw power once wielded without mercy. Yet beneath that monstrous pull, a quieter voice stirred, a hope that shimmered when her touch healed, when her voice calmed. He fought to silence the beast, desperate to hold on to the shards of humanity she coaxed from the ruin of his soul. But the question haunted him like a ghost. Was this fragile new path nothing more than an illusion born from desperation? Episode 6, The Struggle Within. Whispers crept through the vampire coven like poison. They mocked his weakness, scorned his reliance on a mortal healer. To them, love was a liability, a stain on his ancient name. Their words carried threats heavier than steel, shadows moved with silent intent, eyes flashing with contempt. They saw her as a doorway to his undoing, a fatal crack in his eternal solitude. But the more they threatened, the more fiercely he resolved to protect her. The darkness outside was real, but the light he found in her was a defiance greater than any blade or curse. Episode 7, Voices from the Shadows. Despite the looming danger, she stood her ground. Fear did not rule her heart. Instead, courage blossomed, a fierce, unyielding force that defied every law written to keep their worlds apart. She faced down the silence of night, the icy stare of those who deemed her unworthy. Each act of healing was a quietly rebellious declaration. Love was not bound by blood or shadows. In her determination, she became more than a healer. She became a beacon, daring them all to believe that even the most forbidden love could ignite a revolution. Episode 8, A Mortal's Courage. Their connection was no longer simply survival or need. It was woven through with pain, with passion, with the delicate weaving of trust where there was only suspicion. In stolen moments, laughter escaped, soft touches lingered, and glances became promises. The slow burn of attraction was a flame they both tried to deny, but it grew stronger with every breath. Together, they forged a bond that neither time nor darkness could sever, a fragile thread glinting with hope amidst sprawling night. Episode 9, Blood and Bond. The shadows around them tightened. His legacy, a legacy of fear and blood, threatened to consume the new path he sought. Every choice carried weight. The temptation to surrender was a powerful siren song, but she was the line between past and possibility, a living proof that even ancient wounds could be healed. He faced the twilight between old and new with trembling resolve, knowing the next step could lead to salvation or final ruin.